at the top, I want y'all to write y equals mx plus b. We're going to go over this and over this and over this because it is so important. Who can tell me what the M stands for? Rate and slope. They are the same thing, yes? So on the STAR test, it might have a graph and say, what is the rate? And you know that means slope. Now, look at the left side of the page. All of these. In which one of these would you use rise over run? Down here. So everybody go to the graph, and I want you to write, and you don't have to write this, but to find slope of a graph, you're going to do rise over run. Now, let's remind ourselves of the 4 types of slope. If it's going up from left to right, what kind of slope is that? Positive. If it's going down from left to right, negative. If it's flat and just a flat horizontal line, that's a 0 slope. And if it's straight up and down, that's undefined. The biggest mistakes I see students make is they forget to label it negative if it's going down. Okay, so let's go look at an example over here. The first question you would ask is this a positive or negative slope? Why? It's going down from left to right. So if I was going to do rise over run, I would automatically put a negative sign. Okay, so which dot do you start with? The bottom. And you're going to rise up even with the top dot. So what is my rise in this picture?
4.
Because I went up 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. What is my run? Because I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could I simplify that? No. So that is my slope. Okay, real quick, flick to the back and let's do 2 more examples of rise over run. Now, what do you have to do on these 2 pictures? You have to pick 2 dots. Does it matter which 2 dots? Okay, y'all help me. Is this a dot? Why not? It's not at an intersection. Is this a dot? Yes. Is this a dot? How about here? And here? Do I need all of those? How many do I need? Does it matter which 2? No. Will I get the same answer? Yes. So I'm just going to pick 2. And guys, the closer the dots are together, the least chance you have that you'll have to simplify. Okay? If you use these 2, you're going to have to simplify. If I pick 2 that are close together, I won't have to simplify. Okay? But it doesn't matter which 2. I'm going to pick this one and this one. What's my rise? And what's my run? Is my answer good?
No. It's negative. It's negative.
If I forget the negative sign, I miss the whole thing. Now watch what would have happened if I would have chose this dot to this dot. My rise would have been 2, and my run would have been 4. And I would have simplified that in my calculator, and it would have simplified to the same answer. You can always put it in your calculator, and if it simplifies it, then it had to be. If it doesn't simplify it, that means it's already in its simplest form. Just go to alpha y equals and put it in, and if it simplifies it, then you write that down. If it doesn't, then it was already done. Okay, last one down at the bottom. The first thing you should write is that it is negative. The next thing you need to do is find some dots. I see this one right here. And I see this one right here. Did some of you see this one up here?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. No. You can use any dots you want. Could I have used this? No, because it's not at an intersection. All right, my rise. Is it 1, 2, 3? And my run. 2. How do I know if that needs to be simplified? Well, I know because I know fractions. But if you don't know, you go to your calculator. I already know it doesn't need to, but I go put it in. And it will tell me, oh, that doesn't need to be simplified. It's in its simplest form. Everybody good? With graphs. Any questions on graphs? Turn the paper back over. What we've learned the past few days is that you don't always have a graph. Sometimes you have a table, and sometimes you just have 2 coordinates, or 2 points. Could you go graph it and then do rise over run? Yeah, but anybody have graph paper that you just got all this time in the world? No. Okay? If you do, then you could go do that. So what we learned is that there is a formula called slope formula, and the formula is found on your star chart, meaning you don't have to memorize it. The formula is, and everybody's going to write it down, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is the easiest formula. So if you're confused, now's the time to pay attention. This right here is just a picture of a blank table. So obviously we're not going to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is 2 points. Is it the same formula that you would use? Yes. So I'm going to use the same formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Are we good? We can't do rise over run because we don't have a graph, so we have to use this formula. Now, let's go do the table first. So everybody look at the table. These are coordinates. Everybody look. These are all what? What are all these? X's, because they tell me that. These are all, and the formula, I need a y2 and a y1 and an x2 and an x1. So I basically need 2 x's and 2 y's. And they have to belong to each other. I personally wouldn't use the top one because it has a negative. So I would personally choose to use like these 2. You only need 2. Everybody good? Mark the ones you're choosing to use by circling or highlighting. Are we okay? Okay, so do I even need these other ones right here? No, pretend they don't even exist. So these are all x's, so I'm going to label this my first x and call it x1. See, this is my first x that I want to use, so I call it x1. This is my second x I want to use, so I call it x2. This is the first y I want to use, so I call it y1. And this is the second y, so I call it y2. Now, all I have to do is put the numbers in the formula. And the way I taught y'all is to use boxes around these so that you know that's where you drop your number. So I have a box minus a box over a box minus a box. Okay, what's going to go in the top left box? What in the formula? No, I don't want a number. What in the formula? Y2 is going to go in this box. And we labeled Y2. What number did we label? 8. The formula says that Y1 goes in the top right. So what did we label Y1? 6. Okay, the formula says X2 goes here and X1 goes there. You just drop the numbers that you labeled. So X2 was 4, and what was X1? Does anybody have issues with filling in the formula? Okay, so where do we go in our calculator to solve? Alpha y equals. So we go alpha y equals option 1. And I'm going to type in, everybody's paying attention, 8 minus 6, because that's what's on top. And then tab down, 4 minus 3. And my answer is 2. That's my answer. My slope is 2. Why did I put m equals? That's the slope. Okay, on the next one, these are called points or coordinates or ordered pairs. They're the same thing that just came from this table. They're just presented differently. Okay, this is an X. This is a Y. This is an X. This is a Y. Since these came first, I'm going to call these my 1s. And since these came second, I'm going to call them my 2s. Okay, draw your boxes. Box minus box over box minus box. Okay, what goes in the top left box? Y2. What goes in the top right? Okay, so I labeled what the formula says. Now I'm just going to put the numbers in there that I labeled that. So what number did I label Y2? -4. So it goes here. What number did I label Y1? Y'all think this is easy, right? Okay. Down here the formula says X2 goes over here and X1 goes over here. What number did I label X2? -2. And what number did I label X1?
5.
All right, so I go to my calculator to alpha y equals, and I simply type that in. So I have -4 minus 3 up top, and -2 minus 5 on bottom. And my answer is, and that's it. My m equals what? Any questions on the slope formula? No? Okay, now look at the very bottom. This actually is not on your assignment. I just want to remind you. In y equals mx plus b, the m is the slope and rate. So if they give you an equation, like y equals 2/3 x plus 10, would you be able to tell me which number is the slope?
Yes.
What is it? It's just 2/3 because it's in that spot. Yes? What if I said, what's the rate? 2/3. What's the rate of change? 2/3, because all of those things mean the same thing. So on the STAR test, they could literally ask you that question and give you an equation. Okay, your assignment today is over the 3 ways of finding slope. Slope from a graph, slope from points, slope from tables. I've given you an example of each just in case you forgot. I'm going to pass it out, and then you're going to put your answers in the Google Classroom after you get it checked with me.